Okay, so welcome to lesson 8. We are really getting through them now, and they are going to keep coming, so don't worry. So lesson 8 is going to be an interesting one. It's not going to be a lesson where I'm walking you through anything. So this one's going to be our first project part, as I'm calling it here. It's like a little bit of a challenge, let's say. So here you can see on the screen I've got the project part 1 open. So this is our first project part. And this is going to be a part that you're going to download and you're going to program completely on your own. So there's nothing on this part that you haven't learned already, I believe anyway. It's relatively simple. It comes with a drawing. So if we download the folder from the OneDrive or Dropbox, sorry, then you'll see this information. So we have the main part, .part. So if you're using NX2212 or above, then you can use this one, which I'd always recommend. And if you're using an older version of NX but are still following along with the course, then you can download the step model here and you have to import that into your session. Along with that, we have a drawing. So let's just give this an open. So you can see there's a few things to look out for on here. We have this hole here is datum A, and it's a 4mm H7 hole. You'll have to look up what H7 means if you don't already know, and see what tolerance that is. And then you'll see this hole here is also a datum hole. So it's 2 off. So this hole and this hole are 2. This one's not a datum hole, but it's a H7 hole, and it's referenced back to this hole. So you can see this has got an 025 positional to datum A and B. So B is this bottom face. So basically this wants to be nice and parallel, perpendicular to the face. And then it also wants to be very good positionally to this hole here. So you'll have to go away and decide how you want to do that. And then other than that, there's not that much on here to worry about. What I would say is this sort of, you want to make sure this face is nice and perpendicular to B. So yeah, we don't want any like 0.1 runs here or anything like that. So just be aware of stuff like that. I've not put a tolerance on it, but maybe I should have in hindsight. Let's just make sure this is nice and square basically. And then this tolerance here that you can see in the box, this is just a reference dimension, because you can see this is actually a chamfer here. So this is just picked to the end of the chamfer. That's just there for reference basically. And then the other interesting thing here is I've added some project information. So if we open this up, a little text document, you'll see that I've just put a bit of information in here to try and simulate what, the differences of what could happen in reality. So we have an order quantity of 200. So we're going to program this in a way that we are potentially running 200 of them. So that's something to bear in mind. Because if I was programming a one-off, I would probably program it differently than I would if I was doing a 200 off. I would, you can get away with a little bit more and sizing and stuff like that if you have to size anything. The machine that we're going to program for is a good quality 3-axis vertical machine. So what do I mean by this? What I mean basically is we're not using like, an old Bridgeport with really bad servos that struggle to keep a size. We're trying to simulate what it'd be like in a half decent machine shop, and yeah, so maybe like a nice DMG 3-axis, something relatively new. So yeah. And then I've put a bit of operator information in here. So in the operator information, I've put here, sometimes the operator can be lazy when it comes to deburring and also checking finishing tools. So that's just something to be aware of. So you want to program it. Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but you want to think about this when you're programming. Programming time. So I would be happy if you could program this in 5 hours, and that would be for your first project part. That would be a really good factor. So when I say 5 hours, I mean if you do 2 hours tonight and an hour tomorrow and another hour the next day, that'd be 4 hours. Like that's fine. I don't mean like when you open this part you should have it finished in 5 hours. I mean actual hours that you're working on this part. I would say 5 hours is a good little challenge, and I'm just putting this in here, although it doesn't matter to me and I would never know how long you've taken. I'm trying to replicate this to be what would happen in a machine shop, because depending on what environment you're working in, you're gonna a lot of companies issue like a time that they would imagine you to program this in. So for example, in companies that I've worked for in the past, you get like you might have like an online MES system or something like that, or an ERP system, and you'll get allocated a part and you'll get allocated time towards it. So it's just good to get into this frame of mind. Target runtime to manufacture complete. So I would imagine this part should take no longer than 15 minutes per component. So you can check that by coming into, when you start the CAM session, can't see it here because I've not started a CAM session, but when you're in the manufacturing session, you have all this different information in here. If you just pull this out, you'll see a time one, and then that'll give you, if you look at the top level folder, it'll give you a runtime. I've given you a stock billet size. So the billet size is going to be 3 inch by 3 inch by 2 inch, and there's going to be 205 billets. So you've got 5 billets to, well, there would be 5 billets to sort of quality control, let's say. And then a little bit of additional information. Your supervisor is really pushing for all components to be deburred on the machine. So that's just something to bear in mind. So you see on the actual part, we do have like sharp edges like here and here, these lines and this line here. So although you could finish this part and not deburr any of this, then the machinist would sort of have to take this edge off. But I think it's really good to get in the mindset of you don't want the machinist to have to do any deburring. You want to try and get everything done on the machine. There's no reason why you can't. So okay, so that should be it. And what I would like you to do now is go ahead, download all the content, have a little look over it. I'm not even going to show you like, oh, I would do this in op 10 and then do this in op 20, op 30, and I want you to figure that out for yourself, because it's important now that you get into the swing of learning for yourself a little bit, because although this course I'm trying to cover a lot of things, there's going to be things that we don't cover in here, and you have to start using your own intuition, because I've worked for companies in the past where everyone is kind of working in a very similar way, and in order to try and separate yourself a little bit or to do things differently, you're going to have to go out there and start learning for yourself and trying new things, and maybe looking like an idiot sometimes, but in that you'll learn, and that is definitely the best way to learn here. So yeah, if you struggle with any toolpaths, or as I've gone over before, if you're in any toolpath dialog box, you can just hit F1 and it's gonna take you to the website, and it's gonna give you a little rundown on how that toolpath works. So that the F1 key is definitely going to help you here. And when you finish this part, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to send me an email. So I'll put my email in the description of the YouTube, and yeah, once you finish all of your operations, so like op 10, op 20, op 30, however many you do or however little you do, send me those files. I want to see your part files and what I'm thinking. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. But I'm either thinking of doing a video which will go over your part files and we'll review them, or I'm thinking of doing like a YouTube stream and we'll do it live, and then you guys can come and talk if you want to, and I'll go over, I'll open the part files and we'll run through some components, and I'll give little tips in there, or things that I thought you've done really well, or things that we can improve on. Yeah, so let me know in the comments below, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one then.